Hello, everyone, and welcome to Late Boomers, the podcast where we talk about reinvention, staying relevant, and navigating this stage of life with curiosity and confidence. I'm Kathy Worthington.
And I'm Mary Elkins, and today's conversation is an especially important one, and it's one for all of us who didn't grow up online, but are very much living in that world right now.
Banking, shopping, medical portals, travel, social media, our lives are online, and unfortunately so are scammers, hackers, and people who would love nothing more than to take advantage of us.
Yeah, that's true. And boomers are one of the fastest growing targets for cybercrime. And the truth is, most of us were never taught how to use the internet because it wasn't there and how to protect ourselves digitally.
Which is why we're thrilled about today's guest, someone who has spent decades helping everyday people understand what's happening behind the scenes of the internet and how to stay safe.
Oh, and our guest today is Chris Parker, the founder of what'smyipaddress.com, one of the most trusted and widely used resources in the world for understanding IP addresses, online privacy, and digital security.
Chris started the site long before cybersecurity was a household word, and it now helps millions of users every month understand how their information moves online and how it can be tracked and how to protect it.
He's been quoted by major media outlets, and he's been consulted by organizations around the world and has a gift for explaining complex tech topics in plain English. Got to get my
Chris,
English right.
Chris, welcome to Late Boomers. We're so glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah,
Us
let's
too.
start very simply. For our listeners who hear the term cybersecurity and immediately feel overwhelmed, what does it really mean in everyday life?
Cybersecurity for most people, let's not talk about businesses and the Fortune 500. Let's just talk
Hmm.
about you and I and the listeners. It's keeping our devices and our information and our accounts safe.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's very complex for a lot of us. So why why is it a mistake to think I'm not important enough to be a target?
Yeah, I mean, that's a common thought that people have and a great question. We all kind of think of, well, I'm not special, I'm not valuable. But the scammers and the cyber, the cyber hackers and whatnot, they don't really care about who they target for the most part. They're not
Mm.
necessarily looking for the richest person or the most famous person. They're, scanning everything that they can scan. They're looking at everything that they can look at, and they're just trying to go after the low-hanging fruit.
Mm,
Oh,
mm.
so just literally everybody.
Everybody's a target.
And why
That's
does that
scary.
make, and why are boomers such frequent targets
Mm.
for online scams and stuff?
It's actually really interesting because some of the more recent research has actually said that Gen Z are actually the most likely to be scammed online. Uh,
Oh,
Oh,
and
that's not boomers.
And it's not boomers, but I'll get to why it's a problem for boomers. So for Gen Z, they live their entire life online. You and I, if we were buying a concert ticket from someone, we would meet them in person. If we were buying, a used table from someone or a used gadget from someone, we'd meet them in person and test it. The
Mm.
Gen Z these days, everything is done online. They buy the tickets online. Facebook
mm-hmm,
Marketplace, the stuff gets shipped to them or it doesn't get shipped to them. So they're
mm-hmm,
more likely to be a victim of a scam or fraud, but their losses are significantly smaller. They're
mm,
out, a couple $100. The
Oh,
the focus on those nearing their retirement age or in retirement is they have in general have a higher net worth. They've got more to lose and less
right.
time to recover from it. So if you've got a $500,000 in your retirement, that's a $500,000 that you can lose. Gen Z,
That's
who
right.
has $500 in their bank account, they've only got $500 to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mm.
percentage-wise, they're just on it so much
Yes.
that
Mm.
they're more likely to get scammed or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's
Even though
just
they're more savvy about the scams, aren't they?
yeah, they're generally more savvy about the scams, but they're also kind of this mentality of, well, I know that I'm going to get scammed at some point, and that's just part of the
Huh,
cost of doing business online. And so they know, let's say 1 out of 10 concert tickets that I buy online, it's not going to work out, and they've kind of just chalked it up as the cost of doing business. Where you and I,
mhm. Ugh.
when something happens to us, we want to raise holy heck and we want to go to war because for most of our life that hasn't happened to us on a regular basis.
Mm. It's so scary out there, it really is. I mean, I live my life in fear of that, because
Mhm.
it's, you never know it. Sometimes you don't even know what's happening.
Well, that's why we need to get these tips from
That's
Chris.
right.
What's an IP address and why should the average person care about it?
So an IP address is kind of the internet equivalent of your home address. So
Yeah.
when you send a letter from your house to a friend, not that anyone does that anymore, but let's say you're paying a bill, you write the return address on it, and you write the address that it's going to. It goes to that person. They know how to get that message back to you by looking at the return address. So it's the
Mhm.
same thing for the internet. If I want to go to a website, I have to send a request out onto the internet to the website. So if I want to go to Google, Google has to know where to send that data back to. And that's done through the IP address. And it's not quite like television. If you watch all the crime shows, someone types in an IP address, like, oh, it's Bob Smith, and he lives at 123 Main Street, and they figure it out in 3 seconds and send the police roaring over there. In
Right.
reality, for the most case, not like everything in crime shows is true. In reality, most people aren't able to have that accurate of information. It's usually accurate to maybe like the city level. So if you visit a website, when you go to Lowe's and you want to find the nearest store, it just seems to quote unquote magically know where the nearest store is, even if you're on your desktop computer. And that's done by what they call IP address geolocation. Uh, and they can figure out, well, you're probably in this city, is about as accurate as it gets. But all data moves back and forth via IP addresses.
But
Well,
that's
it's interesting
yeah.
to me because I know sometimes I know that I'm getting scammed or people are phishing
Hmm.
for information, and like, if it comes from a store but it doesn't sound right, or even the big companies, Amazon or any of those, I'll check the IP address on there, and it usually comes from some strange person, so I know not to click on it, but if I'm not paying attention,
Hmm.
it could be scary.
Mhm.
And that's one of these things that has gotten more concerning with the rise of AI. If you were to ask me,
Mhm.
5 years ago, hey, what advice would you give concerning emails? I would say, hey, look out for bad grammar, look out for
Mhm.
odd fonts, things that just look weird, the logo's not current. These are things that we can commonly see, but with AI, it doesn't matter where in the world the scammer is, whether they speak English or not,
Hmm.
they can craft an email that looks exactly like an Amazon email, and it's
Oh,
written like an Amazon email. It has the right
yeah.
colloquialisms as if it's a friendly email, so it's almost I don't want to be paranoid,
Huh.
but there's a certain amount of you really have to not trust what you get via email. You have to really start from the position of assuming this isn't real. How do I confirm that it is real?
Mhm.
I get it. What are the biggest online mistakes you see boomers making?
You know, it, again, it's these sort of things that are shifting now. Um, I think you guys have probably gotten them. One of the latest things is starting to get text messages. Kathy, I think you and Mary both have a dog. So if you got a text message saying, hey, I'm checking to see how my dog's surgery went, your initial response was like, oh my gosh, if my dog had surgery, like, they must have gotten the wrong number. If my dog had surgery and I sent that text message, I'd want someone to let me know, "Hey, you got the wrong number. I'm not your vet.
Oh,
Sorry." And so they're now like taking advantage of our politeness and our desire to, be good
wow.
citizens of the world for us to respond back and say, "No, I'm sorry, you've got the wrong number. I'm not your, this isn't your vet." And you've now confirmed that it's a valid telephone number. You've now just
Uh,
confirmed that you're willing to engage with somebody, and
mhm.
whether they contact you back from that phone number or a different phone number, they're going to start like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you let me know. I'm sorry I texted the wrong number. I'm just so worried about my dog." And, those of us who have dogs will respond back, "Oh, what kind of dog? What happened to it?" And then they're going to use that to build a fictitious relationship. And at some point, there'll be a financial opportunity. Can you help me with this? Or, hey, I'm an investment banker. I can help you with your retirement. And then that's where the scam
Wow.
comes in.
Well, is the FBI on this at all?
They are. Law enforcement does try to pursue these things as much as they can, but these are run by transnational, international crime syndicates. It's not some college kid in his mom's basement in a hoodie like we all like to think they are. These are run by
Mm.
well organized, well planned, uh,
Crime
criminal
syndicates.
crime syndicates, criminal enterprise business. Like they run it like a business. They've got a playbook that if the scammer in seat 45 isn't doing his job, he gets put on an improvement program. And if he can't increase the amount of money that he steals from people, he either gets fired or he gets beaten, or else they take it back, like they beat him, they take away their passports.
Oh
Like
god.
it is a scary situation. So it's sure, the FBI and the US might know that that particular incident that you had happen was fraudulent. Um, but the question is, can they find the scammer who's in Cambodia or
Mm.
Estonia? And are they going to put the resources in to try to find it?
Yeah,
So it,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's challenging because, like, once the money is gone, it's really, really hard to get money back when we have taken action to send it somewhere.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, how serious is password excuse me, password reuse, and what should people be doing instead?
So, password reuse is one of the biggest ways that scammers and hackers get into accounts. Um, we all see the news stories. AT&T has a data breach, and usernames and passwords
Oh.
were released. And we might get an email saying, "Hey, you need to change your password." The good companies who realize it, they will force you to change your password. But if you've ever reused that AT&T password anywhere else, the scammers, they're going to try it at Amazon, they're going to try it at every bank, they're going to try it at every wireless carrier, they're going to try it everywhere to see what accounts they can get into. Now imagine you've used that same password that you used for your AT&T account for your primary email address. So now they get into your email. Well, they can sit there and lurk in your email and see that, oh, you got an email from Bank of America with your billing statement. They see all your emails coming in, and it like the initial fear is like, oh my gosh, what if they change my password? The scarier thing is actually is if they don't change your password, because then they see all your transactions, they see all that you're doing, they learn where you have your accounts, and then in one fell swoop, they can go and change the password for your email and then log into all of those accounts, change the passwords there, and now they have unfettered access to all of your accounts and you're scrambling. So that's the importance of like you got to use a different password, but you also have to use what they call two-factor authentication. So
Oh, yeah, which all
that's
Yeah,
the banks
that's
and the
such a
credit
all the
bummer.
cards
banks almost require. So it's
and all
either
the
at
credit cards have that now
Mhm.
too.
It's
Yeah, me
either like
too,
an
but most people
SMS
don't
message.
remember any passwords, so, do you recommend the digital ones they give you?
Well, yeah, that's why I would recommend what's used called a password manager. So it creates, so you use for like, you have one master password that you can remember, and you need to make sure it's long and complex and not easily guessable. And that gets you access to all of your other passwords, and they are just garbage. capital A, lowercase b, 752 underscore exclamation point,
Yeah,
24
yeah.
characters long. If anyone ever asks you what your password is, you're, I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine
And a
is like,
lot of
which
times
one to what?
and I get so upset that my phone never knows the passwords that are on the laptop, and, I mean, I don't know how anyone gets into any of my accounts, but
And that's why that's why you use a password manager that is installed both on your phone, on your laptop, on your desktop, and that they're all synced up.
And
And
they're
then you have
trustworthy.
and again, you're now putting trust in these organizations, but
Mhm. Yeah.
the way most of them are run is if you lose the password to your password manager account, you're stuck. There's nothing that they can do to help you. It's
Ah,
sorry, you're going to have to reset your password absolutely everywhere. Um, but
Mhm.
oh,
that's but
Ooh,
to me,
yeah.
is the consequence of having to reset my passwords everywhere worse than losing
No.
losing access to my retirement account? I'm willing to put some
No.
effort in to protect, my account. And like, look, we all do things like I installed a new app and it's a weight tracking app, and of course, they want you to set up an account with a username and a password. A lot of us will reuse a password for something like that. There are risks to it. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's often what we do, and we can if people want to do that, I'll cover my ears and pretend I didn't hear you. But
Mhm.
it's your email address and your bank accounts are, and maybe even your social media accounts are the ones that you've really got to protect like your life depends on it. And they
Well,
all
what
have to be a different password, unfortunately.
yeah. What are the biggest scam red flags that people should watch for today?
It's interesting. Like we were talking earlier, I used to tell people like if you're on a dating website and they won't jump on a video call with you, that's a red flag because they're just trying to do everything with via text or email because you can't hear accents, you can't see a face that doesn't match with the profile. But now real time AI allows people to do deep fakes that are effectively real time. So they can
Oh,
pretend to be anyone young or old. And so you just like, in terms of like the dating stuff, you just have to be really concerned about anyone that you haven't met in person. Uh,
mm,
for other things, it's like anytime that someone is asking you or talking about anything financial should be that like you did not initiate the conversation. It's one thing if you went to a broker that you found that and you're doing your investment there. But if you run across someone or they approach you and say, hey, I can help you with your investments, I can help you with anything about your finances. Anytime someone talks about money, like that's now the red flag.
mm.
oh, yeah.
That's scary.
Yes.
Well, how safe is public Wi-Fi and what precautions should people take?
So the way I look at where you connect to the internet is how much do you trust the people that are running that internet connection? So if you were going to, let's say, uh,
Starbucks.
you're going to Starbucks, okay, it's run by a Fortune 500 company. It's probably going to be safer than using the Wi-Fi at your mom and pop donut shop who only has the one location and they set up the free Wi-Fi 10 years ago. Uh,
Mhm, mhm.
I
That's
You'd have to
interesting.
kind of look at it as a scale. In general, I would try to avoid connecting to any sort of free Wi-Fi. Uh,
Like, what
you
about at the airport?
you know,
Yeah.
I would generally like again, I would generally try to avoid connecting to free Wi-Fi. Use your cell phone hotspot or something like that. Sometimes that's inconvenient. Um, you can use a VPN that kind of obscures what you do and protects what you do a bit from if anyone compromises the airport Wi-Fi. But it's
What
more
is that?
about it's called a virtual private network. It basically encrypts your communication between your device and whatever else you're communicating with. Most platforms, when you go to websites, most of them are secure these days, so it is encrypted. But the more worrying thing about something like the airport is anybody could, bring in their luggage something that says, "Hey, I'm the free airport Wi-Fi," and you don't know
Oh,
the name of it, and now you're connecting to Bob's, Bob's hack device in his luggage, and he's looking through that trying to figure out, is there any information I can garner from this? Can I use this to now to try to compromise their laptop? Because hey, why not? There's lots of people not paying attention. So I would avoid using free Wi-Fi. In terms of, should you be scared of it? Probably not, but I would avoid using it and just stick to known connections like your hotel, Starbucks, or using your cellular connection.
mhm.
Ooh.
Well, and what about let's talk about social media a little bit. How much personal information is too much to share?
Anything. Okay, so
If
so
Well, obviously, you don't say while you're out of
yeah,
town
it,
while you're out of town.
yeah, it really depends on if you the kind of the two ways to look at it is, or a couple ways to look at it is, let's say Facebook. Facebook, I think in 2025 did about $200 billion in revenue. How much did you pay for your Facebook account? Nothing.
0.
Zero. So they're making money off of what they learn about us with what we post, whether
Mhm.
it's targeted ads, and the vast majority of their revenue is targeted ads. So we're not really the customer. The advertisers are the customer. So every post that we interact with, if we watch a video, if we just stop scrolling for a while at a particular picture, all those are signals to Facebook of what you like and what you don't like, and they
really?
will target ads towards you. Now, the
Mhm.
bad aspect of that is there are hackers out there that take over other people's accounts, other advertisers' accounts, and now will run fake ads trying to
Mm.
as phishing attempts. So they're going to run, hey, here's this latest gadget you can get on Amazon. Click here, and they'll try to get you to give up your username and password. And then there's what you talked about. What are other people going to do with the information that you post that are human beings? Uh, like you said, never post, hey, I'm going to be going on a cruise and I'm going to be out of the country for 2 weeks, because now you've just
Mhm.
broadcast, hey, no one's going to be at my home address. These
Mhm.
days, with data brokers and the deep web and all that kind of garbage, if they know your name and they probably know where you live because you've got your town in there, they knew who you're related to, they can probably figure out where you live. And even if the thief is halfway across the country, he might post that information on a chat group of a bunch of thieves that are, hey, they're in your neighborhood. So we now don't just have to worry about the thieves that are in our neighborhood watching us, but the networks of thieves sharing information about when people are going to be out of town. So
Oh,
your
God.
your
Yeah,
social
I'm
media
sure he gets
accounts,
a big fat referral fee for
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that my bank will not, take will not send a Zelle payment to anybody who has received information from the internet or wants to pay somebody on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird. Like these payment platforms, if you look at the core of what they said they were for, it's transactions that you would normally be willing to do with cash. This is a substitute for cash. But now that everybody got comfortable with that, it's now pay your bills with it, pay people that you don't know, that you've never met in person. And with all these platforms, once you send the money, it's gone. It's not like a credit card where you get to dispute it. Uh, there is somebody that I that does work for me here and there. I pay them with Zelle, and because I just don't want to have cash on me. And every time I do it, I have to go through like six different prompts of, yes, I know who this
Yeah.
person is. Yes, I know that I'm at risk for scams, which I appreciate the banks are doing that now. They used to not do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, I'd
Mhm.
love to talk more about VPNs,
Mhm.
because is that for everyday users, and how do you enable that?
So there are a couple of so I if you're traveling, VPNs are probably a good idea to keep safe. If you're at
Mm,
home and you're just chilling at your house and doing your banking and stuff like that, you trust your internet service provider. So it's not the sort of thing that you would generally necessarily need to use at home. There are times where people like, I don't, I want to avoid saying that they're being nefarious, but I'm trying to have that degree of I really don't want people to know where I am. I want to, let's say I'm a journalist or I have
Mm-hmm.
a social media account that I don't really want connected back, that I don't want to necessarily to be publicly connected back to me. People often use VPNs to separate themselves a little bit. So the IP address
Yeah.
that those websites see belong to the company that runs the VPN, not you. And so it gives you a little bit of degree of separation from those sort of things. Unfortunately, most of us, we are still us and we still have the same habits, whether we're using the VPN or not using the VPN. And most of the privacy stuff that we do, that we expose, is our behavior and our patterns, uh, not what we don't do.
Well, let's say we're at the airport and
Mhm.
we need to use our phones or our computers. How do you set it up?
So there's a bunch of different apps, VPN companies that is the service that they run. So there's NordVPN, Proton VPN that for $5-10 a month they can provide this extra level of security. A lot of people use them to access. Uh, you know, I'm on the East Coast right now, but I want to watch my West Coast news. You can use a server that's on the West Coast, and when you go to Hulu or the streaming service, it thinks you're in LA instead of New York. So a lot of people use it for that kind of stuff as well. I would say beware of any company that is promoting a free VPN service because it's kind of like Facebook that if the service is free, then you're the product. And so I
Mm-hmm.
question VPNs cost money, the infrastructure costs money to run. So if someone's saying, "Hey, I've got this free VPN service that is just as good as the paid ones," that should be a red flag of, "Hey, there's something going on here." Now, not to be
Mm-hmm.
confused with free trials and things like that, which are normal for any paid platform.
Well, what should someone do immediately if they think they've been scammed?
So depending on the scam, you do want to contact your local police department, file a report. You can file a report with the IC3, which is the Internet Crimes, uh, FBI, if that's appropriate. If there was a financial transaction involved, you immediately want to contact the fraud department at whatever that financial entity it is. There are times
Mm.
that if you did a wire transfer, some of those don't process until the end of the day. So you might be able to stop the transaction. You may be able, based
Mhm.
on the routing number, you could figure out the receiving bank, them, and contact their fraud department and say, "Hey, I was conned into sending money fraudulently. Can you stop the transaction?" Uh, it's one of those things you really have to take action yourself. You can't just wait for the police department. I would
Mhm.
also say, as much as nobody likes to do it, talk to family and friends and get input from them as well. Um,
Mm,
it's just
Mhm.
one of those like none of us ever like to make admit that we made mistakes, particularly
Yeah.
scams and fraud. But the family's gonna, family and friends are gonna
Especially
be
to
there,
your adult children and things like
particularly
that,
your adult children, and
because 'cause
like
they're gonna say, "Oh, mom's so stupid," or whatever.
and
Right.
that's and that's people's fear, and we really
Yeah.
shouldn't. If you realize that the people that are perpetrating these scams are international crime organizations, to think that our mom uh, can fight against an international crime organization that's been doing this for 30 years. Mom's not stupid. She got taken advantage of. She got stolen from. It's the same thing as if,
Mhm.
mom was walking down the street in the middle of the day and someone snagged her purse. You wouldn't say, "Oh, mom, you shouldn't have been walking down the street in the middle of the day." you know, and that's
yeah.
and that's where we really have to make a mind shift is that
Mhm.
people that are victims of scam and fraud, they're not stupid. They were taken advantage of by people who have trained themselves on how to take
Mm.
advantage of people.
That's
They've
such a
learned
good point. I
they
love
have they
that
have
point.
learned how to manipulate us with our
Mhm.
emotions, with urgency. they play psychological tricks on us to take advantage of us. It's not that we're not being stupid. We're not ill-informed. It's people are doing stuff to push us outside of our comfort zones and to get us to
Mhm.
make a quick decision, uh, you know, and
Yeah.
that it is in those moments that we're taken advantage of. It's not because anyone was stupid. It's because they're smart and they're really, really trying really hard. Their sole focus is to take money from people. Our sole focus when we're doing our lives is not, we're not constantly looking around left and right. Who's trying to steal money from me?
Mm.
Yeah.
We're not experts at that.
Yeah. Well, besides VPNs, what are the simple tools or habits that offer the biggest security benefits?
So, password managers, like we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
two-factor authentication, uh, to whatever degree you feel comfortable. Uh, the least sophisticated, the least reliable, the most insecure is going to be a text message. But again, it's better than nothing because people can take over your cell phones. They
Good.
can port the phone number to some other entity and they can get your text messages. Um, Less likely to happen, but again, it's do you want to have no protection or protection that isn't the best? I'd rather have protection that isn't the best than no protection. So you have like SMS, which is a text message. A lot of places now require authentication apps. So it's Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator. Um,
All that stuff makes my mind explode.
it does to me too, and so that's why I say like do whatever you're willing to tolerate, but at least do one of them.
One of the things.
Um,
Oh,
one of the two factors. If all you can manage is the SMS message, by all means do that. It's better than not doing it. And so that shouldn't be your reason. I can't do the best thing, so therefore I shouldn't do anything. It's kind of like, well, someone can break a window in my house, so I might as well leave the front door wide open.
Huh.
Well, you're
Well,
still going to close your front door.
what about WhatsApp?
Ah, again, like any of these platforms, if you're talking with people that you know, that's fine. But it's once you start interacting with people that you don't know, and again, they start with the politeness. So, like, you can block accounts that you don't know. So I would just don't
Yeah.
feel
Because
bad
and
blocking
what
people, not taking unknown calls. Like, we have to get where we are in society right now. Politeness. Be polite to people that you meet face to face. But when
yeah,
you,
well, you
well,
feel
what if
I think
what if
people still
somebody
feel
I'm curious about this. What if somebody is on WhatsApp that you know, but they've been dealing with people who they don't know? And
Well, I think that's the importance of why we need to be talking about scams. And I think like if we're talking to our parents about it or we're talking to our friends about it, um, like you said, it can't be like this attitude of like you're stupid and I want to protect you. A better approach is talking about the attempts that have happened to you. Hey, I've been getting these text messages about this. I think they're scams. Have you been getting them? And so talking about it in a
mhm,
way
mhm,
that encourages our friends and our family members to talk about what's happening, and now we're sharing
right.
on the same level as opposed to you're trying to take away my autonomy,
Yeah, I get that.
and
What
that's
well, what
that's the struggle.
what emerging online threats concern you most for older adults?
I think that any platform can be used to target us, and so I'm not gonna say like Facebook is not the worst thing on the planet, but it's when there's new technology that we're not familiar with and we don't want to ask for help, and when we don't understand like what am I doing here? What am I connecting with? Who am I connecting with?
Mhm.
That's where we get into trouble. We have to be willing to have these conversations of, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? Can you show me how this works? Can you tell, hey, son, daughter, friend, can you tell me what are the risks I should be watching out for on this platform? And again, any sort of unsolicited contact should be something that is of it's not a guarantee to be a scammer, but that's something that you should be concerned about. Anything that's unsolicited.
Well, is
Right.
Facebook the largest one to look out for, or are there others that are equal and problematic?
Facebook is just a platform, and that people will exploit it for different types of scams. I would say the same
And
thing for any of the dating sites that people will connect and then say, "Hey, let's switch off of this platform and go somewhere else." That's also kind of one of those red flags. Is if I'm running one of these platforms, I can see all the conversations that people are having, and so if I don't want to burn my romance website account, I'll get someone off of that and have that conversation on WhatsApp. That way, the romance website doesn't see the conversation.
Mhm.
mhm.
So, like, those are kind of the things. It's like when people are trying to get you to switch platforms, that should be a bit of a red flag because the longer they stay on the platform, the more likely they are to get caught.
And of course, Meta owns Facebook and Instagram and
Instagram,
WhatsApp, and I mean, they're in court with all these things now, and
yes.
so they're they
Yeah.
have all the platforms. It's pretty
Yep.
much
And
monopoly.
this isn't to say like don't connect with people we're humans, we need connection. And so absolutely connect with people that we know. But when something happens that's out of character, we have to verify it. I had someone that I work with, I got a message saying, "Hey, my wife and I, we've been having some financial challenges. Can you help out with the electric bill?"
Oh.
Um,
Mhm.
and I it's someone that we've been connected on social media for 20 years, but I have not had a conversation with this person on social media for at least 10 years. There's no way that they would reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you help with the electric bill?" Um,
Right.
Right.
if it did come
But
from
it's
someone
hard because you're looking at their page.
well, but
It
here's what
looks like
happens.
them.
It's if you get that message from someone saying, "Hey, from your friend," it could be a fake account, or it could be
Mhm.
someone that's taken over their account. You have
Mhm.
to then say, "Okay, because I've gotten this message on Facebook, I have to communicate with them on a different platform to confirm." So you
Mhm.
call them at a number that you know is the right telephone number for them, or you send them an email if you send them a text message. You communicate from a different platform is the way
Yeah.
to kind of separate these.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is
Like
generally
"Did you
a good
send this?"
start. Yes.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you send this? Hey, I got this message. Did you send now? I had that, but this does happen. I saw a friend of mine post on Facebook um, a picture of a bunch of puppies and saying, "Hey, these puppies are for sale. Contact me if you're interested in any of these puppies." And I thought to myself, I think I've never heard this person talk about being a dog breeder. This seems really weird. And so I sent her a text message saying, "Hey, I think your Facebook account has been hacked. I just
Mhm.
saw a post about puppies." And she goes, "Oh no, my son is a dog breeder, and he wanted me to post it." And so it was like, okay, so it was plausible, but because it was so out of context for her, I was like, "Oh, clearly you've been hacked." When in fact, she was just posting on behalf of a family member.
Which is
Mhm.
interesting. I have saved quite a few Facebook people, like, by telling them, "Guess what? You've been hacked."
Yes.
I never interact because you get friend requests, and you're already friends with them.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
the last thing you do is ever respond to a friend request if you're already friends with them on Facebook.
that's
Yep.
right.
You just don't respond.
Yep.
But then you call them and you say you've been hacked so they can at least get in there and take down the account or change the password. And it seems to me that most Facebook accounts do get hacked when the person isn't using them anymore.
Yeah. And it's because they've reused a password and that's why the account got compromised. And again, that's why two-factor authentication is important. Even if password gets compromised, the person needs that 2FA code to still log into the account.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
I have no idea what my Facebook account password is. So what mindset shift would be most feasible and most improve online safety?
I think it's really to treat everything with some level of suspicion, unfortunately. I hate giving that advice, but I think we really
Mm,
these days just have to be anytime we see something, we have to part of our mind has to think, how could this be used as a scam? If
mhm.
if I see the pictures of puppies, like, okay, is someone trying to scam me with puppies? If you know, someone's sharing about how they had this great economic windfall. Okay, that's hey, I just won the lottery, and I want to give it to a bunch
Ah.
of my friends. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How about you take me out to dinner and we have that discussion there, not online. So I
Uh-huh.
I I think there's, this a certain level of, distrust that we have to have, not in the sense of everybody's trying to get me, but is this real? How do I confirm that this is real as opposed to I'm gonna assume everything is real unless I see a warning sign.
Mhm. Well, great advice. And Chris, thank you for empowering us with practical and understandable advice today.
Thank you so much, Chris. You've helped us feel informed and not too intimidated.
And we
You're
want to
very
tell people to visit what'smyipaddress.com. Correct, Chris?
what is my ipaddress.com?
Oh, there's an I in there. What
Yes.
is?
Yes.
Oh, this was typed wrong. I'm sorry. What is my ipaddress.com to learn more about protecting your digital life for sure.
Super important. And boomers and everyone, please subscribe, share, and review us on Late Boomers um, at the on all the podcasts and on YouTube. We look forward to hearing from you.
We're Kathy Worthington and Mary Elkins.
Thank you so much for listening. It's never too late to learn something new.